Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast and YouTube channel. I'm on a mission to help you cut the time to all the things that are holding you back so you can unleash your entrepreneur. Hey, welcome to Never Been Promoted. I'm your host, Thomas Helfrich. Today, we're going to be joined by Mauro Stara. Such a cool name. And actually, really cool, he's a six-pack CEO. So he may be shirtless by the time we get done with this show. We don't know. He may if he doesn't have a six-pack, his brand's screwed. But we're going to talk about mastering some leadership and fitness and combining those two. Because, getting the body and mind right is pretty important to be a leader. And so I have questions of how you get a six-pack. And if his answer, it's in the kitchen, it better be in Portuguese, then, because you better say it in a language I haven't already heard it. If you've never been here before, I want you to be very clear what our mission is. It's to help you get better at entrepreneurship. It's to actually help make more entrepreneurs in the world, because entrepreneurship's hard, and you're going to get held back by lots of things that you don't need to be. So the metaphor being, you need to cut the tie to kind of all the crap holding you back. You do that step by step, task by task, little by little, getting mentors, getting support. And so if you can learn something from today's guest, you are on your way. One shameless plug is, please, if you can, go to neverbeenpromoted.com. And also, if you get really cheeky and saucy, go subscribe at youtube.com/@neverbeenpromoted. And that includes our guests. I tell them this, but then I have to remind them often. So we'll see if he's a subscriber or not. We'll get into that. All right, enough shameless plugs. Let's bring Mr. Mauro. I hope I'm saying that wrong. Mauro? Am I saying it right, Mauro? Correct.
You got it right.
Mauro.
No, you got it right.
I feel like it should be sexier, like that way. Mauro. I don't often drink, so when I do, I drink a Mauro. No, it's not really an alcohol.
No, we'll keep version 1.
Version 1, Mauro. Okay. How are you, man? You doing well?
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I'm excited to have you on. I mean, whenever I can get free workout advice and leadership into one bundle, hell yeah, let's do that. I mean, I'm still that old school guy that goes to the gym and just lifts things, right? And I'm not doing some crazy turns and putting some leg halfway in the air while holding a weight and chanting. Yes, I'm describing a very specific person in our gym who does this, and I don't understand why he does that. I don't see the benefit. Why don't you just take a minute, tell me about where you're based out of. Because we're going to talk about that. That's going to be our icebreaker today.
Sure. Yeah. Right now I'm in Portugal, so near Lisbon. That's where my base is at.
You said right now. Are you not from there, or do you grow up someplace else?
No, I moved here 6 months ago, but originally, so my blood is Italian, but I was born in Switzerland. I lived in Spain, in Africa, in Mexico, so all over the world.
You're a digital nomad.
Yeah.
How many countries are you legally allowed to return to?
To return to? Oh,
I'm implying you've been arrested in all of them. That's all I was.
Yeah. Well, in all of the countries that I live, but with the European passport, you can basically move into any EU country and stay there. So the number is big.
Yeah, there's big. I'm messing with you. Well, take a minute. It's Six Pack CEO right? I think I'm saying that right with the number 6, but and I'll put that up here in a minute. But just talk about your journey a little bit. Just talk about what you're doing today and back up to kind of how you got there.
Yeah, so going back to Switzerland, kind of like as you asked me and we brought it up, where I lived and where I was born and everything started. I was working in banking. I was there for 5.5 years, grinding corporate job, corporate career, worked up the ladder. And on the side, I was, working out, taking care of myself. And as I had my transformation, people reached out and said, "Hey, I saw what you did. Can you help me? Can you help my sister? Can you help my parents?" Like, that word of mouth started to spread all over across my network. And eventually I was training people offline or face to face in person. I was having my banking job and I was building, an online business. And so between juggling these three things, something had to go. And unfortunately, that was my health. So I sacrificed my health but because I was chasing my wealth, like so many entrepreneurs do. And, eventually I paid the price. I burned myself out, had issues with my heart, fatigued all the time, put on some fat. And that's where I turned it around. And I said, hey, I got to draw a line. Enough is enough. That was when I was in the room with the cardiologist, you know, early 20s, and a bunch of guys in their 60s, 70s in that waiting room. And I thought, like, wow, what am I doing here? That was the wake up call I needed. And as I fixed it, I saw, hey, there's, the opportunity to lead men, usually 10, 20 years older than me, especially back then, that were face to face in the office. And I saw, not just a snapshot, but 5.5 years of their life and what that looks like. And it was very unhealthy. And we can go way deeper into this if you want, but
Of
there's
course,
that
yeah.
corporate mindset of, hey, I got to hustle and hustle. I got to be, a nice employee and show the boss that I'm busy. And if my health has to suffer and my personal well-being, then so should it be.
You most certainly can go deep into that because I think it's at the core of why you did it. And I've done it. I've visited a cardiologist after getting an EKG irregular meeting, and the answer from the guy was, well, we can give you medication or you can go on a Stairmaster. It's like, all right, I'll go on the Stairmaster. I don't like the Stairmaster. It's not my friend. I don't enjoy it, but I get on it every day. Not every day, every other day, maybe 10 minutes, not much. All right. So you went through, what's that?
You got one at home, or is that at the gym?
It's at the gym. I go to the gym every morning. So I'm somebody who absolutely can't stand routines and schedules, but I absolutely have to have them to be successful. So my body and my mind's always fighting, like, do whatever you want versus follow a routine, stay disciplined, follow a plan. So if I don't go to the gym Saturday and Sunday, it's like the chances of me going to Monday significantly drop because I got out of routine. And so you have to adjust your life. So I mean, but anyway, we'll get into that, maybe the how a little bit, but maybe what was you chased wealth over health. Lots of people do that. Do you believe it was maybe just an excuse? Like, you can do both. You just got to give up other things. Is that fair?
Yeah, looking back, it's definitely an excuse. It's also poor time management, or poor time management, poor focus, and poor. Well, I don't want to say execution, but poor structure of the plan, so to say, where you think, oh, I got to do more and more and more to get this thing off the ground. Where really, if you focus on a few things and get those right, then you get it off the ground and you still have time for all the other things you want in your life. So it's usually because we focus on the wrong things and we do too much of that. And we end up
Well,
where I was.
I think I mean, that's spot on, right? You focus on the wrong things. And it's not an intentionally bad thing. It becomes like we're all like water. It's easy is just to flow downhill. Sometimes you got to freeze up a little bit, and ice can flow uphill because it's ice. So you got to get a little tougher, a little harder, and you can do all kinds of things to stop that. What do you see though? When you were starting out, where were people focusing poorly, but in their world, it seemed like the right thing to focus on?
You mean when it comes to business, what I was doing?
Yeah, like so if you say, listen, you want to be a better leader and you have to keep this fitness component in there. That's like without
Yes.
your the thing I say this quite a few times. The man with his health has a million dreams. The man without his health has but one.
Yes.
And it's very
Absolutely.
true, because if you haven't, just something small, like go hurt a toe, all you want that toe is to stop hurting. You're not thinking of like anything else. And if you have something major, all you're thinking is, oh my gosh, I don't want to die of a heart issue. You start focusing on that. Um, and so talk about what people focus on that they probably really shouldn't, or they shouldn't do it with such, intensity, and they should be focusing on other things.
Yeah, you bring up a good point around that. So, there's two identities in fitness. There's the ex-athlete. That's you as well. You told me that before the show. You used to be in elite shape or in great shape, and then yeah, we can talk about that as well. Things went a little bit sideways maybe. And then you have the fat kid who was never in shape, right? Never in shape, always fat since a kid or a young adult. So these two approach it differently, but the ex-athlete, if we stick to that, because that will resonate more with you as well, is that guy thinks, okay, for me to sustain my health, my fitness, I have to keep up or implement the same routine I used to 20 years ago. And that will not work, right? That was a
No,
routine for a single guy in his 20s who, is a gym rat. Now you've got kids, family, 1, 2, 3 businesses, other stuff to do. That has to integrate into your schedule. So the big mistake is that people make is they adjust their schedule to the fitness program instead of the fitness program to the schedule. So we have to look, hey, what does my schedule look like? And where can I fit it in? And what's the minimum effective dose that I need? And maybe I can do a little bit more versus, oh, I need to go 4, 5, 6 days a week at the gym and do this and that. And then you get overwhelmed. And then it becomes a all or nothing, a black and white thinking. It's like, okay, either I'm perfect and I'm going to crush it, or I'm not going to do anything. And so many entrepreneurs do that. It's like they're so tunnel vision. It's like either I'm all in or I'm all out. And that is really good for business, but it's horrible for fitness. You can't be all in or nothing. You have to be in between many times. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to hear that, but that in between adds consistency, and consistency over time is what gets you that result.
I will tell you, I'm an all in or nothing type of human. I will, as soon as you accept that, it can become a superpower. I will tell you that. So I'm one that says, listen, I'm going to go all in when I am available to go all in. So like I said, every day, 8 to 10, that's the time to get to the gym, work out, get home, get ready for it. And so I had to adjust my days to not start till 10. As an entrepreneur, you're like, oh my God, I got to let go of the gas for 2 hours a day. Like I got to take it up. And I got to tell you, I was really nervous about, I've gotten way more productive since doing it because I'm just more focused and energized. I do though, like, if you go travel for a week, I'm okay just not working out. I might do push-ups or something. I don't like get all out. I just got to set my mind. But I know if I don't set it on my calendar to be the priority thing I need to do, I won't do it. And I'm somebody who like, a year and 3 months ago stopped drinking, just cold turkey, wasn't adding value in my life anymore. I thought it was like, I'll live my last 10 years better if I do this. I'm not somebody who'd be like, oh, I can just have a glass of wine on a Friday. I'm like, if we're gonna have a glass, we're gonna have a bottle. so you
I'm the
got to
same
adjust
with
that.
sugar.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm the same with sugar. A lot of people look at
Yes.
me, and especially clients, and I go, this guy must be like super, like strict and disciplined. It's like, no, I just know myself very well that I keep all that stuff out of the environment. So if I want it, I have to put on my shoes, put on a jacket, go out and buy it. But if I keep it in the house, yeah, I can just have a little piece of chocolate and that's it.
Oh
I'm
no.
gonna open it and I'm gonna finish it and I'm gonna pick the next one. So I rather keep it out of the house, and I'm really good.
That point is so timely. So I will give you an actual. This is like last night. I bought a bag of Starburst. I love Starburst candy. I should get sponsored by them, but then again, I shouldn't because it'll put it. But I bought a bag for this party, and there was like a whole bunch left over. And I think yesterday I had an unhealthy amount of Starburst. I mean, I love them. I just cannot stop. I'm so glad they're wrapped, or I'd eat them even faster. Say it that way. I've even considered eating them with the paper on it. That's how much I like them. Anyway, so I had too many yesterday. I OD'd on Starburst. because I went to bed and I was like, I felt like I had a fever and I woke up sweating. And I was like, man, that much inflammation in your body from that sugar, because I don't normally have it anymore. And I mean, I had way too much yesterday. And I'm not going to talk about it, how many, it's just too many, an unhealthy amount of Starburst. And the point being is, you're right. If they're around, you eat it. And so as part of your strategy when you're working with people to find the fitness, because once you establish the discipline of fitness, right, you can start establishing some things in leadership as well, from like things you need to regularly do to improve yourself. And I think sometimes if you can't take care of yourself, I don't think you have a shot on the other side as much. I don't know. But the point being is, do you take that strategy of, if you have a problem with it, just keep it out of your way and keep it out of your sight? Or when it comes to leadership, and like, talk about
No, I wouldn't
mechanism.
say if you have a problem, just keep it out of your side. Like it needs to be addressed at some point. But I'm a big fan of engineering your environment for success. So if you have a really good environment in place, then it's much easier to stick to something versus if you have a bad environment in place, then it requires more discipline. And some guys are very disciplined and they do just well in an environment that is against them. But other guys are not so disciplined, and they need to be in an environment that requires less of that discipline. So it's kind of like why some people, especially over the last 3-4 years, where you can work from home, they go into a co-working space. It's like, well, I understand you because you have kids running in, maybe your wife wants something, maybe someone rings at the door. It's like, man, I can't focus here. That's why I go into like a co-working space and so on. So I understand that if we take it to business or work, but at some point you have to address that as well. You can't always hide it or put it under the rug because it's going to show up again, right? What is really going on there? But that can come later, right? I'm a big fan of, hey, let's give you quick wins, quick success, get the momentum going. And once you're in the flow, it's much easier to address that versus if we start, like the first thing we do is like really going deep into that, someone may just quit because they don't have that momentum. So let's give you that momentum, and then we can look at it later if necessary. And sometimes it goes away and it solves by itself. Like a lot of people don't know that, but your taste adapts to what you give it over time. So if you always eat unprocessed foods, let's say 80-90% of the time, I'm not saying 100%, that's not doable for most people, then the taste adapts in your mouth. And over time, it's like, yeah, I actually don't want that anymore. But if you always, every day, have like some Twinkies, some Snickers, and candies, well, that taste is also there, and you want more of that.
You do. Starburst is my example for that. For in your own journey outside of sugar, what's been kind of the hardest discipline thing for you? Like, what's the thing that really, even today, maybe you're like, man, I got to really not do that or focus on it? Like, because everyone's got something. This is my theory. Everyone has something has an anchor, a tie that holds them back. What was yours, or what is yours?
Recovery. A lot of guys like you and me, and maybe some of your listeners, or a lot of your listeners, were high achievers, type A go getters. We want to do more, more, more. And when I go to the gym, I want to leave it like exhausted, powered out. But over time, I learned like maybe it's not such a smart strategy to do that because then you overtrain and that can backfire. And I had to just take one step back from the intensity, and I actually saw better results.
Yep.
So that would go into recovery, but also like sleep or winding down. I'm not a big fan. I'm a fan of doing, getting shit done. And so doing nothing can be really hard for me, especially when it's like, hey, you gotta implement that into your day, like do nothing and just be calm or wind down. I would say that's the hardest part.
Yeah. Are you okay? Are you this type, or which type are you? You go to a beach. You go to a beach vacation, 3 days on the beach. It's a warm beach, not like a Portugal beach. You go to a real warm beach. Just kidding. And are you able to sit on the beach longer than an hour without doing nothing, or do you have to start walking or throwing rocks in the water or something?
I have to move for sure. Yeah,
You have to
like
move.
I don't need to do something, but I need to get up, go into the water, come back. But eventually, yeah, it gets old, and I want to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or unless I sleep, like if I just lay there and fall asleep or close my eyes, yes. But if I just lay there, I cannot lay there for more than an hour and just do nothing.
Right.
That's very, very hard.
I admire people who could do it. I can't figure it out because they're able to get up and move too. But I'm like, I can't sit here any longer. I'm one who likes to look at the water from afar, like on a balcony, then go down and get in this. Anyway, so I'm with you on that. And so I think your recovery piece is an interesting. It's that ties to in business, making sure like you take you block out time to think, to work on a more thinking problem, like a strategy problem or something. So for us, I try to take the entire Wednesday to go learn something new, work on the business, so to speak. My recovery time from, if I was use that metaphor, like you're doing things in the business kind of throughout the day here and there. And then once a week, I kind of work on the business where I'm not executing things. I'm working on strategies or flows. Do you see that same type of dynamic in other your clients too, where they don't take that time to think bigger, think about more things than just what they need to do for the day?
Depends on client to client. Those usually beyond 7 and 8 figures, no, they have that time to strategically think. Usually they're at another phase, or yeah, just in a different phase or in their journey. And they know that at that point the leverage is the decisions they make. So you have to, how's that quote where it's like, if you give me 5 hours to chop wood, I'm gonna prep my eggs 4 hours. You know the quote?
I've heard, I don't know that specific one, but I've heard that instead of just chopping wood for 5 hours, I'm going to go, do something to prepare to make it the
Yeah,
chop
just sharpen the
hour
eggs
every time after.
for 4 hours, and then that last hour uh, chop the wood. And it's like the same thing here. Like the more advanced or successful you become, the more it's about those key decisions that you make. Jeff Bezos said it was like, getting Amazon, who's an old interview, to the next level was just 2, 3 decisions that he has to make in a day. And that's why for him, making sure that he gets proper sleep is going to be key. So he has like a clear head to make those decisions. So circling back to your answer, the guys, 7, 8 figures, I see them doing that. They're often very organized with their schedule. Not all of them, but many. Where someone below 7 figures, they may have a team, but it's like a smaller team, and they're still in the operations, and it's a lot harder for them to do that. And that's often the key to get to the next level out of the operation, as you said, working on the business strategically to grow it if you want to grow it.
Well, and I think that's important. I think there is when you're starting and you're part of the brand and I found myself in this spot for one of my businesses where I'm often in the brand still, but it's just how it grew up and it's how it's set up, and it still makes money in a way that I still will have to be present in it for some degree. But you're right. It wasn't in Jeff Bezos by his ways. I was wise. Like, well, he doesn't start his day till 10 and hasn't ever. He pitter patters, I think is the term they use, till 10. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go get the kids out in the mornings, have a coffee. And at 8 o'clock to 10, that's like getting to gym. And the reason I did that is because I have energy. I haven't touched an email. I haven't done anything for the business at that moment. All I'm trying to do in that moment is go take care of my physical self. And then I can do the rest of the day with like guilt-free. And I think, and then I know that means when I want to go do some thinking time, it's not competing with, I could be working out now. And I was having these struggles of, I know I need to take care of my physical stuff, but I really need to work on the business. Maybe talk from your perspective, that dynamic when people feel pulled in two directions in the exact same moment, because it's usually with stuff with life, like spending time with family, your own physical being. I need to get this other thing in this business going. So how do you help people navigate the distraction and they're both legitimate, gravity pulling distractions? Is this just organization, focus, acceptance? Like, how do you work through that to get people, I guess, focused is really the question.
Yeah, it's similar to what you do. Most of our clients work out in the morning, right before they start their day. And it's always the same mantra, like, hey, you got to put out the oxygen mask on yourself first before you go out and lead others. Kind of like they tell you in airplanes, right? And when you do that, as you said, you have more energy, you have more focus, and you've done you, you've taken care of yourself. And now you can go out and lead others there as well. So most guys do that, but the competition between the different areas of focus and attention, that never goes away. So I remember there was once I was about to hit the gym around 11:30, and I got an email like your ad account has been shut down from Facebook. It's like, okay, let me go back to the computer, let me get this up. And then I thought it was just 5 minutes to, make a few clicks. 2 hours later, I was still there, and I was very frustrated, and I had to move the entire workout to the next day. And that required a shift for all the other workouts during the week, right? Because, I don't want to have them back to back, need a recovery and so on. So I was so frustrated that I said the earlier I have the workout, the better, similar to you and similar to many guys, because then you can have a meeting. There's a lot of shit that gets thrown at you as an entrepreneur, and your meetings and all those things that will come into your day and attack you, so to say, they may go longer than anticipated. And if you have a workout plan by then, the thing that usually falls is like, all right, I'm gonna hit the gym, but I'm gonna cut my workout shorter, or I'm gonna do it tomorrow. So if you don't want that and you want to put a stop on it, then just as you said so brilliantly, get it done in the morning. Before you check any emails, anything, go to the gym or work out at home, get it done, do you, and then you can do everything else, and you're going to be much more effective and much more sharper mentally.
It takes off a chunk of a mental drag on you. And there's some mornings where like, I have a 9:30 because it was a reschedule. And it's funny, like you said, you have scheduled workouts. Like anything in life, sometimes if you just modify that slightly, and I thought to myself, well, a year ago, I wouldn't be doing anything right now. I mean, zero. I'd be, I'm like, it's still better than I would have been a year ago. So, you know, you make the adjustments to hit it. The other thing you can do too, right, is you just do enough, right? You do a maintenance instead of going, I'm going to go, super heavy, or I'm going to do something else. Just do enough, that I didn't lose anything today. I maintained ground. I showed up. I put some time in. I didn't leave here exhausted. But I left with some benefit. I put a 0.008 instead of the 1% in. I mean, I did a little bit. It's all I could do today. It's because like anything else, right? Not every day you're going to be able to be your best. You're just going to have to give the best you can for that day in that moment. And I think that is like, and it's still a gain. I wanted to save $1. I only had 40 cents today. So so what? You save something, you move toward it. Next day, you might put $1.20 in, so to speak, in your wellness bucket. I absolutely love that. So give me I'd love to hear success stories. Do you have like a really powerful success story? I hope you do. I'm asking you cold turkey, not knowing if you do.
Yeah. Well, I there's like two I like to share. So
please.
One of them was there's a guy that works in the MSP, cybersecurity, IT space, very successful business owner, multi-seven figures, married, the beautiful wife, two beautiful kids. And he goes to that, I don't know what park or adventure park that was, but he goes there with the kids. They stand in line for like an hour, plus minus. And finally they get to the front. And then the guy at the front, he looks at him. He's like, hey, man, there's a weight limit of 200 pounds. Or, yeah, you have to be 200 or under 200. And he was 240. So there was no chance. It was not like 201 where it's like we can swing it. Absolutely no chance. You're way too heavy. And, he turns around. Kids look up like, what's going on? We're standing in line. They're really disappointed. Other like parents and kids are like, you can see the smirk, smile in their face. And in that moment, like all the money he had, the business, everything, like that was worthless. And he came to me and he's like, look, in a year or less, I want to go there and I want to, crush that with my kids. So a year later, he sends me that photo where, he's there and with the kids, and he said, "That's why I signed up and I came to you guys." So I was so happy to see that because, so many times we talk about freedom, right? Or freedom, 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 and we think more money gives us freedom. It gives us financial freedom, but there is also something called physical freedom, and no amount of money would have bought it that physical freedom there. So that's really a powerful one. There's another one if you want me to share.
I do, but I will tell you in that example, even when I was at my prime, at the time I was probably 6'2.5". I have since shrank. I was still 205 pounds. That's like I would have been around, and I think I may have had a 12 pack at that point. And so I'm like, I would have been too fat as well. I mean, but I get the 200 pounds is light for a ride. What is that? A teacup? My God! Like, is he riding a baby pony? Anyway, we don't have to get what the ride.
Yeah, I have to double check what that was, but I have the photo.
250. The ladder is 250.
2 years, 2 years ago that he sent me, and it was beautiful to have witnessed that.
Awesome. But what's your other example?
Yeah, so the other one was I started working with a guy, and he got in blood work, and which we do for all our clients. And once the blood came back, he had like antibodies that I've never seen before. Like that number was so high, and the entire profile looked very, very strange. So I told him, "Hey, man, like you gotta go, to your primary care physician and get that checked rather soon later." And he went there, and he's like, everything is fine, don't worry. And I was like, "Hey, can you get a second opinion?" And we just started working together. He thought like, "Dude, who's that guy? I'm busy. I've got other shit to do. My doc said it's fine." So he's like, "Yeah, push it." And I followed up with him. I was like, "Come on, let's get it done." And I stay persistent. So he went to another one, and they did some scans, they did further testing, and like a few weeks later, he was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Oh, wow. And they had to remove like, so you can see a testimony on Instagram. He has like here a scar. They had to take parts of it out, and I don't know exactly what type of therapy they did with him for to remove that. It was not chemotherapy. Either way, fixed it, and his uncle died of thyroid cancer, and someone else in the family. And they said, if you would have not checked that, then a few years later, maybe you would have had the same destiny. So he was forever thankful and grateful, and I was very happy to have stayed persistent because I could have said like, "Oh, doc said it's good, let's move on." But I told him, "Dude, this here, and it's these are markers that they don't get checked on routine blood work. You go to the doc, you have lipids, sugars, like everything's good, come again next year." But this is like very advanced testing. And when I saw that, it's like, okay, there's something off, and we were able to catch it 5-10 years before it would ever go to the primary care physician, be on their mind there.
I mean,
prevention.
Yeah. Don't get me started on the non-preventative healthcare of the United States. It's completely reactive. My wife is definitely somebody who is much more like, "Hey, listen to your body." Like, she'll go solve problems. It's amazing to watch. I'm not nearly, she's good about that, but she's right. I mean, like they don't care. It's a billion, so the point is take care of yourself, listen to yourself. And if you got history, go do something about it. Too amazing. Who's your ideal client though? So like, it's this time of think shameless plug for yourself, but the truth is, who would be listening to this at some point? Who is it you work best with?
Yeah, the clients we have most success with are usually 35, 40 plus, type A, high achievers, go-getters, self-made, 7, 8-figure CEOs, entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs. They tend to travel a lot, so they're very busy and have a lot of demands on their schedule. they're already working out and eating healthy. So it's not someone has never done something. We have some of those guys, and truth be told, it's a lot harder to build up the habits, build up the routine, and then optimize it. Where the guys that are already putting in the work, working out, eating healthy, had trainers, had nutritionists, had maybe functional medicine practitioners, doctors, and they may even have gotten the result, meaning they were six pack lean, they had good health, but they were not able to sustain it, and they want something that's sustainable. So really type A guys putting in the work, but they're not getting a really good long-term ROI for the amount of effort that they put in. And everyone tells them, hey guys, you can put in more effort, work harder. You don't want it bad enough. Or really, it takes a more comprehensive approach to get someone like that dialed in.
This is what I say. If you skip leg day, you suck.
I agree.
I do legs twice a week, by the way. I'm throwing that out there. You want to lose weight, do your legs because there's so much muscle capability in your legs. You build like 4 or 5 pounds of muscle in your legs. You'll start burning some calories off that fat ass. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, when you train legs, unless you only do isolation, but most people do some sort of pressing, whether it's squat, leg press, X squat, pendulum squat, whatsoever. And when you do that, then you're also going to train your glutes. And a lot of us guys, we sit at our desk 10, 12 hours a day. And what are you sitting on? You're sitting on your ass, right? So if you have a strong muscular butt, then you have less back pain, your posture is going to be better, and you're just going to sit better in that chair versus, my back hurts, I'm not comfortable.
It's funny. So I'll throw this out there for anyone. Back pain is in lots of people. It's like one of the biggest pain centers that cause people to get addicted to opioids, do surgeries, spend all kinds of money, and they're always focusing on the back. I have one who has back pain right now. And what I found was the ratios of my quads to my hamstrings, to my abductors to my adductors, and my glutes. And what I found was I was so much stronger in my quads relative to everything else. It was creating this giant strain on my back. And then without flexibility, adding that in there too, it adds additional problems. So the last like 8 weeks, I've really focused on like stuff you can't see, tons of glutes, tons of like add all the little things you never do, and it's going away, and it's stretching. And I'll tell you, it like sometimes instead of going to medicine like a pill or going to surgery, that's the easy way, right? Like, and it doesn't probably even fix your problem. Sometimes you got to just go do some, I don't know, berserker squats or whatever the hell they're called that make your butt feel like they're going to fall off for 2-3 days afterwards. As you know, do you agree, right? Pain is just weakness leaving the body. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, that's motivational quote, but usually, yeah, pain is like you, and I've noticed that so many times with myself. I have a doctor on the team in doctor chiropractic, and I asked him once, like, hey, what do you think is like the reason why some people have pain in certain areas? He's like, usually they're under muscle or too tight. So either you need to stretch the area a little bit more, or there's not enough muscle mass. And so many times I've had like places where like my lower lats or my, the back of my shoulders where I would have some pain, maybe the hips. And it's like every single time it's like, well, that's a weak spot. And when I train it and target and add more muscle mass to that area, there's way less pain, right?
Yeah.
So if it's still there, it can be really that you're too tight, like the hips, but they're just areas that a lot of guys are too weak, and we need to train those areas more.
I think what people don't realize, you do need to train your abs occasionally. like not just sit-ups. Like it's a muscle like anything else. It holds it all together, guys. Anyway, getting down in the weeds with it. But as this ties to leadership, the point is, I think the metaphor and also the action of physical training is the discipline of looking at it truly holistically, but also looking at yourself, and as you look at your business or how you're going to lead people in a way that attacking the areas that you know are weak, and don't pretend like they're not. Don't pretend like your glutes or your hamstrings are strong. And this analogy, maybe your back office. See how I did that? Your back office is really strong in your business, but you know it's not. You know those people that are there maybe aren't the right fits, or you've got the wrong vendor, or you've got the wrong strategy in some areas that you just don't, that aren't sexy, right? You don't like, who likes to do hamstrings? Who wants to feel like they can't walk for 4 weeks, right? But you got to do them, and you got to do that in your business to be a really good leader. And to do that, you need discipline, and you got to know you're gonna have some really sucky workouts coming because you're weak in those areas. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna feel sore for days. But as you know, and I know, right? For a few months, few weeks, even, it gets less sore. You get a little stronger. And so, if you can apply that in your leadership as it pertains to working out, I think that works. I think my analogy works there. Let's give it a judges. Judges rated it.
I'll be the judge. I absolutely.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, you know, you brought up a good point. You hear a lot of times in entrepreneurship, focus on your strengths and double down on those, and kind of like ignore your weaknesses. And there is definitely truth to it. Like you should double down on what you're good at. But I think that quote came from like sports coaches and athletes, where it's like, hey, that guy should be, you know, play that position and that guy in that position because he's so strong. Right? The other guy is like very weak in that position, so let's switch him there. But if you look at business, you know, there's for growth, there's always those like little optimizations we can do. And so let's say, you know, the guys who play or the people who play video games, they will relate to it more. But you have like a character in the video game
Right.
that is like maxed
Like
out.
RPG, you're building up parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you're level 9 out of 10, level 8 out of 10, level 9 out of 10. So can you double down on those things? Sure, but you're like so close to being a 10. So it's kind of like the business owner, sales very good, marketing very good, like sales a 9, 8 and marketing an 8, right? Can you optimize those and get a little bit more? Yes. But if your delivery, your product, your customer service is a 4, like improving that will do way more and have way more growth for your business than squeezing out the sales. And you know what? When you improve the product and the customer service, the marketing gets better because you have more
easier,
more referrals, and selling becomes easier because selling is about certainty, and you have much more certainty in delivering a great experience, right? So that's kind of where I have to disagree when it comes to business. Like, yeah, you know, double down on those strengths, but those weaknesses, you got to work on those absolutely, and they will make a huge difference because it's all about leveling up that player, and that player's your business. So if there's like, you know, a leaky hole here, you're gonna
if the leak in the bucket is too great,
yes,
you can't put water in fast enough to do it, then you got to fix that leaky hole.
It's like so many businesses chasing leads and leads and leads. It's like, I need more leads, I need more leads. It's like, well, yeah, you can double your business by doubling your leads, or you can double your business by retaining just a few more clients if you deliver
closing more, improving your offer.
Sorry?
Closing more business, improve your offer, charge more, like get more value. There's different ways to do it.
There's that book, The Loyalty Effect. I don't know if you've read it. It's a very good book. And right about in the first part of that book, they show like 2 timelines over 10 years. And timeline number 1, I should have had it here for this call. Timeline number 1 is they show a business over 10 years with 90% retention. And timeline number 2, they show business over 10 years with 95% retention. And the difference, if I'm not mistaken, was, well, it was like a 9-figure business, but it was, I think, so if you keep growing the business at the 90% retention, it was 8 million. With 95, it was like 30 million. I have to double check the notes, but it was so impressive. It's like, if you don't do anything else, same lead, same market, you don't change the pipeline, but you just keep more people in, like that would just get into a whole new level. It's insane. Like
It's like an
overlooked.
interest compounding effect. So
Yes,
it's like the more you have as
100%.
the base, and it gives you more opportunities to upsell. But also, so I think
Yes.
this is the part, right? It gives you opportunity to understand your customer better, so you can deliver more value, so they're more in tune with what you're doing for them, whatever it be, from a service to a software. Um, you do have to take action and know what to do with that base to keep them. But you're spot on. That book's right. It's hard to do. I argue that customer retention is more important than customer acquisition. And so once you have a customer, keeping them with you is certainly more valuable. It costs less. You learn more. You can do more, and you're more likely to get new customers from that, because people will refer, people remember, people see you action. So 100% agree with it. Before we go, I want to give people a chance to know how to get a hold of you. Do you like them to go to sixpackceo.com/start? Is that the best place, or you want them to go follow you on Instagram? What's your preferred, or both? What would you like people to do?
Yeah, so if someone said, "Hey, I really like what I'm hearing here. Mm, I think I'm ready to pull the trigger," then Six Pack CEO number six packceo.com is the way to go. You can learn more about our approach there, our philosophy, core values, and apply if you want to work together. But if it's like, this guy, just known him, not really sure, I need a little bit more content, go to Instagram. That's where I put out my best content.
No, awesome. What's the I always like to get like your perspective on the future, or like a trend that's happening in your industry. What kind of has you excited or concerned for the future?
I'm excited, so we talked a little bit on this call about prevention. So we were for so many years and decades into reactive medicine, and now there's a shift into prevention. Much more people get in blood work, even though they
Yeah,
feel fine. Like, hey, I feel good. I still want to get it in so I can hyper optimize. They get in DNA tests to see, hey, do I have something genetically that could cause trouble later on? Or do I have something genetically that is already causing trouble now? And I can modify my approach here. And so those are like two big things I'm seeing. And then there's just like a lot of big influencers and people in the space that are not into fitness, or not in the fitness industry, but that are extending awareness to the fitness industry. So you have like Tony Robbins entered the fitness industry, which he's huge in the US. Grant Cardone entered the fitness industry, more awareness. You also have, with politics, whether you like it or not, and you have RFK Jr., who now is entering the next 4 years and making America healthy. We'll see if he achieves that or not, or what he achieves. And there's a lot of people that he's gonna recruit PhDs and nutritionists and biologists, whatever,
Yep.
on his team. So there's definitely a big trend that's happening. You also see, like, with a lot of CEOs, you see Jeff Bezos got in really great shape. You see Mark Zuckerberg, he used to be that classic IT Silicon Valley nerdy look, and now he's got respect from some of the most badass guys in the world. UFC fighters, MMA fighters. He's always there watching the fights, and he's pretty jacked, training
Yeah.
hard. So we definitely see a trend among very successful CEOs, entrepreneurs, all take care of their health, and it's kind of has become a little bit of a status symbol of, hey, I don't just make a lot of money, but actually look really good,
Right.
and I take pride in that.
I mean, that's the angle I'm going for. Thank God for testosterone replacement therapy, right? Oh, these guys would be screwed without it. Um, we'll take
Not
that
all.
topic on a different, different.
Sure.
Because well, listen, I'll leave you. I think leave this with us. Wherever you are in your journey, you do need to understand what's going on in your body, and you need to understand if you got things off in your blood, your hormones, because those things do affect you. They like you could be fully in your brain. I really want to go work out, but man, I just don't have the energy. I don't have it in me. Something's off. I don't feel right. You need to go look into that, because there's an input, or there's something going on inside that's messing that up, and you got to address it. I know I'm one that kind of ignored things for lots of years because it just didn't feel right, but you're a boiled frog. So men specifically, I'm talking to, go get your blood work. Don't believe this old. One thing I hope RFK can do, right, is get rid of some of the old beliefs, some of these crazy things that we've came up with in the 60s for health and foods and what fat really is or not. It's not accurate.
No, it's not. And just to add what you said, like a lot of people will think, oh, it's a mindset issue. Like I need to be more motivated, but sometimes it can, not sometimes, many times it can be hormonally or something in your brain chemistry where it's like if you have your testosterone is like rock bottom,
right?
Well, of course you're going to feel motivated because the testosterone upregulates dopamine. So you have lower levels of dopamine, you have less drive, less motivation. So that motivation is not just going to come. You need to fix your hormones, right? And
you do.
That doesn't mean you have to go on TRT, but you need to know, what do I need to do? What are the low-hanging fruits to address that? Or, if someone has always energy crash, it's like, you just, need to drink a little bit more water, need to do this. It's like, well, maybe you're pre-diabetic, you just don't know it. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing too to look at is a calorie is not a calorie. A calorie, 10 grams of sugar from a grape is not to say is 10 grams of sugar from Starburst. Like if you think that your body is eating those calories the same, you are sorely mistaken. There's no way that happens because I don't know any fat people who eat grapes, but I do know people who gain weight from eating Starburst. So anyway, the point is be realistic that, things that you get from the earth might be better for you than things you get from the shelf. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Including sugar-free. So we'll get, anyway, you and I can do a whole thing on that. Maybe we'll do a follow-up on that one when RFK gets in and starts doing some healthy stuff. Even though they were rocking McDonald's on the airplane the other day. We'll leave it at that.
Did you see
it's a great picture. I love it. They're all smiling about it, like eating poison. Not there's anything wrong with McDonald's except the food. Okay. Mauro, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me on. It was fun.
I appreciate it. Now, do you have 6-pack or an 8-pack? Or do you have the extra Batman ab? Just kidding. Don't have to answer that. To find the answer to that, check out his Instagram.
See it next time.
You will see it next time. Check out his Instagram at Instagram.com/Mauro. It's MAUROSTARA official. Thank you. All right. I'll put you in the periwinkle room. I'll be right back with you. Thank you, Mauro, for coming on today. Great information. And listen, your physical fitness, men or women, it matters more than you probably think until it becomes obvious. You don't want to get the doctor visit. It says, hey, you're screwed and it's gone too far. That helps focus your ability to lead, to execute. You got to be able to take care of yourself because none of it matters. If you're not healthy, you won't care about anything except getting healthy, and hope it may be too late. So don't let it be too late because you can always get going. Listen, this is a tie, so to speak, that a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners need to cut. They need to find ways to get themselves healthier, to take care of the time they've created for themselves, the wealth they've created for themselves. So, reach out tomorrow if you need help with that, understanding it. Go to the sixpackceo.com/start. I think it's probably worth your time to do that. Check it out for 15 minutes. Until we meet again, get out there, go unleash your entrepreneur. Thank you so much.